The abuse was only towards Kinsley?
The neglect was them all, but
The neglect?
the physical abuse was Kinsley. It wasn't about she didn't want her. She wanted to see Kinsley dead. That was her goal.
Now, as we give a voice to victims, family members of a 5-year-old child who was allegedly starved to death are suing the Indiana Department of Child Services for not doing more to help her. You might remember Kinsleigh Welty. Court TV has been following her case ever since she died last year. Prosecutors are alleging that she was subjected to years of abuse, including being confined in a filthy closet for most of her short life. And now, for the first time, we're seeing the condition that Kinsley was in on the day that she died. And we want to warn you, the image we're about to show you is graphic. This is a photo of Kinsley's legs taken in the hospital the day that she died. She was 5 years old and weighed only 21 pounds. Her mother, Tony McClure, her mother's boyfriend, and McClure's mother are all charged in connection with Kinsley's abuse and her death. Now, the child's biological father and grandfather have filed a civil lawsuit. The complaint accuses DCS and 10 family case managers of failing to do more to prevent Kinsley's death. Kinsley and her siblings were removed from Tony McClure multiple times, but always returned to McClure. Let's talk about it. Let's bring in our guest. Let's bring in Tom Rawlings. He's the former director of the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services. He's also an attorney. Tom, good morning to you. You've examined the lawsuit for us. Share with us your initial thoughts, please.
Well, Julie, first of all, we know this is a horrible case. You know, poor little Kinsley. I can't imagine the torture that this child went through. It almost makes me want to cry here on the TV. But looking at the lawsuit, as you know, we spoke a couple of years, so I guess last year about this a couple of times. And looking at the lawsuit really reinforces to me that the Department of Children's Services and others just really lost the opportunity to help this child. There were multiple reports about her from November 23 up until the day she was found deceased. And it's as if no one really cared. No one responded. They said they couldn't find the house, even though she had been in the same place for quite some time. It's a very concerning case. And it certainly highlights, you know, how sometimes the system does not work. And we have to have a system because, unfortunately, we have people like Tony McClure and her mother and her boyfriend who, quite frankly, just appear to be evil people.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. And, you know, they've all got a criminal case pending. We're going to cover that case extensively when that goes to trial. I'm with you. Seeing that photo of her legs, it's hard to look at.
Horrible.
You know, for a period of 5 months before her death, she died on April the 9th of 2024. Kinsley, 5 years old at the time of her death, the lawsuit alleges was abused, imprisoned, neglected, tortured, starved, and ultimately died while in the care and custody of defendants McClure, Smith, and/or Halsey at her home. Goes on to say, in part, on April the 9th, law enforcement officers discovered Kinsley in a severely malnourished and emaciated state, her bones visibly protruding, with feces on her hands and her feet, and active head lice covering her scalp. Kinsley was declared deceased that evening after being taken to Riley Hospital for Children. Ugh. Tom, how culpable do you think DCS is here in not protecting this child? Because we know this kind of treatment doesn't happen in a day.
Look, I've worked with social workers my whole life. They work in a system. It is a difficult job. I have great empathy for that work and how difficult it is. I think that in this situation, I think it's a good opportunity for Indiana to really look at its child protective system. And if you see what happened here, there was just so many missed opportunities. As you know, Kinsley had been removed a number of times and placed with her grandfather and then put back with this horrible situation with her mother. I would like to know more about why. Why wouldn't you simply leave Kinsley in a safe place? Who made the decision to put her back? And then starting in November 2023, there was call after call after call to DCS. And many of those calls were screened out, or they did an expedited case closure, even though no one had ever laid eyes on Kinsley. They laid eyes on her brother at school. They had a situation apparently where another child, there was a report, a half sibling, but they claimed they couldn't find her, and they closed the case as unsubstantiated. And I think that tells me there's a real system problem. Again, I don't doubt that these caseworkers who go into this work for Indiana are good people. They try their best, but there's something wrong about the system when you can miss this type of opportunity. The entire time, this child was probably locked in a closet being starved, and yet the case the case is unsubstantiated. No one's seen the child. It's a real systemic failure.
Really is. I'm having a hard time keeping it together. I'm just going to be so honest. These cases, they're tough, Tom, as you know. Child abuse cases are some of the worst, most upsetting cases you can deal with. I always say, God bless those investigators and prosecutors who can stomach looking at pieces of evidence, like something that we want to show again, as upsetting as it is to look at. And that's where my tears are coming from this morning. I saw this for the first time, as we all did. That photo, it is graphic. My friends at home, this is graphic. You're going to probably find this as upsetting as I'm finding it now. But this is going to be key. We're going to show it again. This is what her legs looked like the day she died. 21 pounds. This precious 5-year-old, beautiful little angel weighed the day that she died. And we're going to have a team of prosecutors taking this to trial against mom's boyfriend, and mom's mother pretty soon. And it's very hard to stomach this kind of evidence, but sadly, this is the reality. This child wasn't protected. And now, I mean, thank goodness, family on the paternal side are trying to hold somebody accountable, but it's too late. It's too late for Kinsley, for that poor child. Tom, can anything happen? Can any good changes happen with this lawsuit that could prevent something like this from happening again?
There can. Remember that whether it's the law enforcement, whether it's child protective services, whether it's our healthcare system, the only good thing that comes out of a tragedy is the opportunity for honest people to be transparent about what happened and didn't happen and how things went wrong. And if people within that system can take a hard look at themselves and be humble and say, we screwed up, we made a mistake, we did not do this right, and make efforts to improve the system. So, for example, I would be looking at this case at why were they doing this expedited closure of cases without seeing children? That seems very foolish to me.
It does, Tom. You're so right. So we're just about out of time. We have 10 seconds left. Tom Rawlings, thank you so much. As we go to break, let's look again at beautiful Kinsleigh Welty.